cow had a huge lump on hip. The vet examined it and had the farmer arrested immediately. When an experienced large animal veterinarian received an urgent call about a sick cow, he thought he was heading out to a routine farm visit, but when he arrived, he was met with a sight so grotesque and so unnatural that it immediately sent up a red flag. A dairy cow had a massive basketball-sized tumor protruding from its hip. As the vet examined the animal, the farmer's nervous, shifty behavior told him that this was no ordinary disease. This was a secret. The vet insisted on taking the cow back to his clinic for further tests, and when he saw the results of the X-ray, his professional concern turned to cold fury. He had just uncovered a dark and cruel crime, a secret that would lead him to have the farmer arrested and shut down the entire farm. But before we start our story, smash that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and hit that notifications bell so you won't miss any of our new, incredible stories. To understand the desperate act that took place on this farm, we must first understand the immense, often crippling pressure that faces the modern family dairy farmer. For generations, the dairy farm was a symbol of the heartland, a pastoral ideal of a wholesome, sustainable life. But in the 21st century, that ideal has collided with the harsh realities of a globalized, industrial food system. Small family farms are in a constant, brutal struggle to survive. They are squeezed by volatile, often plummeting, milk prices on one side and the soaring costs of feed, fuel, and veterinary care on the other. They are forced to compete with massive corporate mega-dairies, industrial operations that house thousands of cows and can produce milk at a scale and a price that a small farmer can never match. This relentless economic pressure can push a good person, a person struggling to save their family's legacy from foreclosure, to the breaking point, forcing them to consider desperate and sometimes illegal shortcuts. One of the most controversial of these shortcuts in the history of the dairy industry has been the use of artificial growth hormones. In the 1980s, scientists developed a genetically engineered hormone called recombinant bovine growth hormone, or RBGH. When injected into a dairy cow, this hormone can dramatically increase its milk production by up to 15%. For a farmer on the brink of financial ruin, this promise of a significant production boost was incredibly tempting. After its approval by the FDA in 1993, it was adopted by many large-scale dairy operations, but its use was, and remains, intensely controversial. Animal welfare groups have documented a host of serious health problems in cows treated with the hormone, including a significantly increased risk of painful udder infections, or mastitis, lameness, and reproductive issues. These health concerns led many countries, including Canada, Japan, and the entire European Union, to ban its use completely. And in the dark corners of the agricultural world, this controversy has spawned a black market for even more potent, unapproved, and illegal growth hormones, substances that promise even greater yields, but carry an even greater risk to the health of the animals. Our story's protagonist, a veterinarian we'll call Dr. Marcus Wilson, was a man who had dedicated his life to the health and welfare of these animals. He was a classic, old-school, large animal vet, a man whose office was the dusty cab of his pickup truck and whose patients were the herds of cattle and dairy cows that dotted the rural landscape. One morning, he received an urgent call from a local dairy farmer. The farmer's voice was strained. He said one of his best Holstein cows was sick, that a huge, strange lump had appeared on its hip. When Dr. Wilson arrived at the farm, he immediately saw the animal in question. It was a beautiful Holstein, but its appearance was made grotesque by the massive, purplish growth protruding from its underside. It was, as the farmer had described, nearly the size of a basketball. The vet approached the animal, his movements calm and slow. As he began his examination, he noticed the farmer's strange, nervous behavior. The farmer claimed the massive tumor had appeared almost overnight, a claim that the vet knew from his decades of experience was a biological impossibility. Dr. Wilson's instincts, honed by years of observing both animals and their owners, the farmer was not acting like a man concerned for his sick animal. He was acting like a man with a guilty secret. The vet knew he couldn't get a proper diagnosis here in the field. He told the farmer that the cow needed to be transported immediately to his clinic for x-rays and a biopsy. The farmer became visibly uncomfortable, making excuses about the cost and the difficulty of transport. But Dr. Wilson was firm. He overrode the farmer's objections and with the help of a trailer, the sick cow was loaded up for the journey to the veterinary hospital. During the drive, the vet couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that the tumor on the cow's hip was not just a symptom of a disease, but the evidence of a crime. Back at his clinic, he positioned the Holstein in a large animal examination frame and prepared to take the X-rays. As the first digital images appeared on his monitor, the vet's professional concern turned to cold, hard certainty. He stared at the screen. The X-ray did not just show a massive, abnormal tissue growth. It also revealed a series of small, dark pockets within the muscle and tissue around the tumor, the unmistakable tracks left by repeated injections with a large-gauge needle. This was not a natural cancer. This was a man-made horror. He knew with absolute certainty what had caused this. He immediately picked up his phone and called the county sheriff's department. When the sheriff's deputies arrived at the veterinary clinic, Dr. Wilson showed them the X-ray images. That the massive tumor was not a natural occurrence. It was the direct result of long-term, repeated injections of a powerful and likely illegal substance. The farmer's nervous behavior, his lies about the tumor's sudden appearance, and now this irrefutable physical evidence all pointed to a single, grim conclusion. This was a case of deliberate and severe animal cruelty, driven by a dark and dangerous secret. Armed with the vet's expert testimony and the damning X-ray evidence, the sheriff's department obtained a search warrant for the entire farm. The next morning, a convoy of official vehicles rolled down the long gravel driveway to the farmhouse. The farmer, seeing the police cars, knew the game was up. A team of deputies and animal welfare officers began a systematic search of the property, with a particular focus on the main barn, and hidden in a secret compartment behind a false wall in the feed storage room, they found it. It was the farmer's secret stash. Dozens of vials of a black market, unapproved bovine growth hormone. The evidence was undeniable, but the full, horrifying truth of what had been happening on this farm was yet to be revealed. While the police secured the scene, Dr. Wilson and the animal welfare officers began a health inspection of the farmer's entire herd of 30 cows. What they found was a quiet catastrophe of widespread systemic suffering. The cow with the basketball-sized tumor was not an isolated case. A closer examination revealed that many of the other animals were also suffering from similar, though smaller, unnatural tumors and skin lesions. They showed signs of chronic udder infections, lameness, and other painful health issues directly linked to the prolonged abuse of growth hormones. The farmer, in his desperate and greedy quest for higher production, had poisoned his entire herd. Confronted with the vials found in his barn and the clear evidence of widespread animal abuse, the farmer finally confessed. He told the investigators a story of financial desperation. Crushed by debt and unable to compete with larger farms, he had turned to the agricultural black market, buying illegal growth hormones from an unlicensed supplier who promised him a miracle solution to his production problems. He admitted to injecting his entire herd, both the female cows to boost their milk production and the male calves for increased meat yield, with these dangerous and banned substances. The farmer was arrested and faced a series of felony charges, including multiple counts of aggravated animal cruelty and illegal possession of banned agricultural drugs. The entire herd of 30 suffering cows was seized by the state and transported to a large animal rescue and rehabilitation sanctuary. There, they could receive the proper, long-term veterinary care they would need to recover from the years of abuse and live out the rest of their lives in peace. The story of the sick cow and the brave veterinarian is a powerful and disturbing look into the dark side of the modern food industry. It is a story about the immense economic pressures that can lead a person to commit acts of incredible cruelty. But it is also a testament to the quiet heroism of a dedicated professional who refused to look away. Dr. Wilson's keen eye, his deep knowledge of his animal patients, and his unwavering ethical compass allowed him to see past the farmer's lies and uncover a horrifying crime. His actions not only brought a criminal to justice, but they saved 30 animals from a life of silent, chronic suffering. It is a profound reminder that the welfare of the animals in our care is a sacred trust, and that sometimes the most important secrets are not hidden in a lost tomb or at the bottom of the sea, but in the quiet suffering of a creature that cannot speak for itself.